Hello, friends. I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you? How's life? How's your weekend? Everything good? I had a really good weekend. I had a very lazy weekend. I played No Man's Sky this weekend, which I think California Chris bought it for me like 2 or 3 years ago, and I'm just started it. It's just kind of it was in the queue, but I like other things were coming out, and I haven't been playing a whole lot of video games over the last couple of years. I've just been every now and then I'll pick something up and play it. So I played that. I visited parents, that kind of stuff. Um, I wasn't feeling great on Saturday, so I just kind of I had stuff to do. Um, and in general, I have been feeling pretty not productive lately. Pretty very unproductive over the last like year or two. Even I've felt like I haven't done anything of note, whether in my personal goals or my work goals. I know it's not true, but as a creative person, as a critical thinker, I think that I think that as a critical thinker, it becomes very difficult to not overthink yourself, right? I think that's a very common trait for people who are critical thinkers, and it can be detrimental, right? To feel like I haven't accomplished anything that I wanted to accomplish, and that's true. I mean, this year was I had plans, I had projects that I wanted to get done. Back pain prevented a whole lot of it, and it just ended up sinking into a year of reading. But I've read like 80 something books, so that's not a bad thing, right? I enjoy reading. I started playing bass guitar, and I've played almost every day. I won't say I've picked it up every day, but I've tried to pick it up for at least a few minutes a day. If nothing else, like while I'm cooking, I'll pick it up and just play some eighth notes for a couple of minutes or something like that, just to keep the fingers moving, and to keep the idea in my head that I want to play that thing. Today, though, I received a package from Poland, and in that package is one of my favorite objects that I currently own, and it's a kind of a silly thing. But it's this little fanzine called Sherwood, which my friend Ignacy at Portal Games started. This is issue number 4, 2023. And this is a very cool little object. It's interesting to me because Ignacy grew up in communist Poland in the 80s when fanzines were at their peak. I don't know. I didn't ask him if this was really a thing that he had access to as a child. Like, were fanzines a thing? I can remember going to not my local comic book store. There was a comic book shop here that was mostly comic books, and then they had a little tiny shelf of game stuff, and that was it. But in Morgantown, there was a really cool place, and I forget what it was called, but it was the kind of place that I begged to go to, and I would only get to go if there was some other reason that we would be in Morgantown, and a very rare occasion did I ever get to go to this place. But it was a very cool comic book shop where you walked in, and this side was comic books, and on the other side, there was gaming stuff, D&D, miniatures, dice, eventually trading cards, that kind of stuff. But there was also a whole rack of locally produced fanzines for gaming stuff. There would be, RPGs that were this size, that were handmade, all locally produced things. And so I got to see this, but I never really it wasn't really a thing for me. I didn't grow up in any, quote, scenes that were commonly had fanzines. And so I kind of missed all of this. This wasn't a thing that I did. But Ignacy started this up a couple years ago and wanted to just kind of have a fanzine, like bring back the idea of a physical piece of media that's fun, that's created by the readers or whatever. He includes, like, on the back cover of this is a scan of an old Warhammer Fantasy ad. Like, he put advertisements in here that are like, I guess anachronistic to today, but they're not anachronistic to the time that this would have been published. There's articles. I have no idea what most of this is. It's all in Polish. There's stories in here. But the reason that this is my current favorite object is there's a story in here by me. I told you last week that I wrote something recently, or I told you a couple weeks ago that I wrote something that you would never be able to read, and that's because it's published in another issue of this that will come out next year, I suppose, or maybe this year, I don't know. But this is a little 2-page story that I wrote about going to Origins for the first time, And as silly as this little thing is, as silly as a friend of mine asked me to write an article for his game magazine that's not really a magazine, that's made on a photocopier. They only produce a few hundred of these, and whatever. It feels like I accomplished something. Like the path that I can trace back to the origin of me putting an article in this little magazine is 10 years of history with this person, and lots of mutual respect and understanding. It's years of me writing and telling my stories to myself mostly, but there's years where I tried really freaking hard to make it in writing. I tried really hard to make it in gaming, and none of that stuff has ever come to fruition, and maybe it never will, but I'm going to keep freaking trying, right? I'm going to keep showing up. And I think that's what I'm trying to get at here. Like, it's a 2-page story in a Polish fanzine written in English that you'll never be able to read it. And but yet I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud that I did it, that I put myself out there or whatever. And I think it's just a testament to showing up, picking the bass up for 2 minutes a day while I'm boiling some water or whatever. It's showing up. That's what matters. It's the showing up part. And I think that's great. So I thank you to Poland for sending this over. They sent a whole bunch of stuff. It was a box full of treats and goodies and games and all kinds of stuff. So thank you for that very, very much. I feel very... This is kind of like... not redeeming. What am I looking for? It's kind of like a little nod that says, you got this. Just keep fucking going. Just keep pushing forward. Sorry for the language in this episode. If the real me, whatever, that's a different story. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends, wonderful people. I really appreciate you. See you again tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We are learning 12 stressful things to stop tolerating. Number 6, a work environment or career field you hate. If it doesn't feel right, don't settle on the first or second career track you dabble in. Keep searching. Eventually you will find work you love to do because hard work isn't hard when you concentrate on your passions. Sure. Also, maybe don't quit every job that you start within a couple of months, because that's never going to lead anywhere. You're never going to find out what you like if you don't give it an honest try. Show up, but also try.